Thank you for staying with us, and we're in the last part of our conversation with Sonia. Before the break, Sonia, we're talking about schizophrenia, and how do we tell... What was the question?
How do we distinguish?
Thank you. Yep.
Between, and that's a very good question. How do we distinguish between what is guidance from our higher self and positive angelic influences versus wishful thinking versus negative guides, which are also out there? I actually explain that a great deal in Diary of a Psychic, because in that book I take the reader to school with me. And I teach them how I learned. I share with them how I learned, how I went to see my teachers, from my mother, from my teachers. But in a simple nutshell, like I said earlier in our conversation, there's only one spirit. So good guidance, worthwhile guidance, is guidance that's not just good for you, but good for all concerned. It won't separate you. It won't make you special. It won't flatter you. It won't isolate you. Good guidance will open your heart, will help you become a more loving world citizen, will help you become more tolerant, more forgiving, more patient, more creative, more understanding. Good guidance will elevate your consciousness and help help build bridges instead of burn bridges, whereas flattery, or what my teachers called riffraff guidance, is isolating and flattering and divisive, and you can just throw that out. That's not going to help you. Anything that will be worthwhile for you would be, and also it'll be worthwhile for everyone and can be scrutinized. Good guidance you can share with anyone and have no reason to hide it.
Okay.
And so those are some just real concrete ways. And how do you get in touch with that guidance? Hand on your heart, breathe in and say, my spirit says, and fill in the blank.
Okay. Well, speaking of guidance, I asked you before we started the filming, will any of your guides be here with us?
Well, actually, all my guides were here. And I have, in particular, 3 beautiful guides called the 3 Bishops.
Yes.
They're teachers.
Yeah.
And so they're the ones that are sort of answering your questions before you ask them. Those are my spirit guides. And then I always have Rose present, whom I believe is Saint Teresa.
Really?
But she wants to be called Rose. And she looks, in my mind's eye, like Saint Teresa. And she is such a loving force and has always been with me. And my connection to her is whenever I touch people or whenever I'm with people, I convey the vibration of unconditional love. So people remember that they're beautiful and that there is no need to get approval. There's just the need to remember that they were breathed into creation by God, and that God takes delight in you. And so Rose really works with me a lot in helping reawaken that love and appreciation of self that so many people have had in one way or another really taken away from them. And I think that is the biggest reason our world is so unhappy.
Well, I won't ask you to go into this particular next bit, because this is our last segment, because I'd like to ask some other questions. But there's an amazing story here where Rose so guided you, otherwise you may have taken another pathway.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we can leave that as a cliffhanger for them.
Absolutely. Grab the book and have a read, because that was really powerful. Let's just say there's someone out there now watching this chat with you, and they're going, give me a break. Guides,
that would be your ego.
Yeah.
I would say that would be your ego, in which case, ask yourself if that ego is doing anything for you.
Okay.
Are you happy? Do you feel secure? Do you feel loved? Are you peaceful? Is your heart open? Are you fulfilling your purpose? Are you bringing light to the world? If so, then turn the TV off. But if not, I am really not asking you to believe me. I am just suggesting you try a few of these things and do something really radical and actually trust your own spirit. That's my message. I am not working on a campaign of any promotion, my message is take it home, ask yourself, is this working for me? And if not, the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and think you're going to get a different result. So I'm just suggesting there's some other things to try, and besides what I suggest is fun. It's harmless. And if anybody has any real resistance, the one thing I do invite people to reassume is responsibility, not just for their own happiness, but for the effect they bring to the planet. And that's something that a lot of people would just as soon be unconscious about. However, our planet can no longer support that unconsciousness. So I just say, time to get with the program.
Part of the problem or part of the solution.
Right. Yeah. Do you bring light or do you bring confusion?
Yeah. Okay.
So, and you know, it's interesting, as I work with a lot of businesses, and there was an interview done with the top 100 CEOs of the world. They were asked, what do they attribute their success to? And universally, all 100 said, my intuition, my sixth sense. But they also said, I don't advertise that. I keep that to myself. And I think it's time we start advertising it.
Hugely.
It's the best kept secret out there.
Yeah.
And I think it's time for everyone's benefit that we, and that's why I loved the movie, The Secret. I loved the book. And I'd say, just know that's the beginning, not the end.
Yeah. Okay. What would be some of the common questions that you're asked?
Is everybody psychic? Absolutely. We're all hardwired. Yep. In fact, you can go to a website called WebMD, type in Sixth Sense, and you'll get all kinds of information about where it is in your body for the skeptics who are watching. Can I trust my vibes? If you're honest, yes. If you're willing to be responsible, yes. If you are willing to live in the present, yes. But otherwise, if you're in the past or the future, trying to manage the world from there, no. So you have to practice that little technique. What will this do for me? It'll improve your life across the board. First, you'll feel better in your own skin. Second, your connection with other people will improve, and you'll be actually able to understand and appreciate everyone for who they are, so you'll make instantly better friendships. Third, you'll be unburdened. You won't have to rescue everybody. You'll know that we're all spirits, so everybody's okay. You don't have to protect and defend and be codependent. That means you're freed up to be more creative. So you can start getting back to the things you abandoned when you were a child. And you can stretch time, because when you live in present time, it expands. When you live in the past or the future, it contracts. And just generally, you can become part of the solution, so your sense of purpose will be fulfilled. And believe it or not, you'll start loving your life. So those are the benefits, if you're so inclined to experiment.
We've got to go. What would be one last thing, if you looked at the camera and just said to the viewers, one last message to them?
The one my mother gave me. Always trust your vibes. Expect good things, and you will live a charmed life.
Sonia, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
We'll get you back again.
It's a great pleasure.
Thank you. You know the website, www.conversationswithrobyn.com. You'll be able to go in, see some clips of Sonia, of the interview, and of some of the other guests that we've had, and also on air times. Until next time, take care.